Hi everyone, this is Smriti. Welcome to QA automation classes. So today we are going to start a new series, that is Jenkins, right? So what exactly is the Jenkins, right? And what is the real-time use cases, and as a automation test engineer or SDET, why you need to learn the Jenkins, right? So there are a lot of questions we have, and let's try to answer all those questions, and let's see how in the QA world or in the terms of the automation testing, how we can leverage the power of the Jenkins, right? So what exactly is a Jenkins, right? So let me go to the board. So today's topic is Jenkins. Okay, so Jenkins, what exactly is this Jenkins, right? So this is the question. So Jenkins is an open source automation server, right? And it is widely used for continuous integration and continuous delivery of the project. Okay, so it helps to automate the parts of the software development related to building the application, testing the application, and deploying, facilitating the integration and the delivery process. Okay, so basically it is used as part of the CI/CD pipeline, which is help us to build, test, and deploy the application to the different servers, right? So okay, so let's understand history and background of the Jenkins, right? So originally it was developed as the Hudson project in 2004. So it was developed as the Hudson project. Okay, Hudson project, and later it got renamed to the Jenkins in 2011. Okay, so in the 2011 it becomes Jenkins. Initially it was part of the Horsens project. Okay, so now from the 2011 we are using the Jenkins product. Okay, and as I told you, it's a open source automation server. So what are the different features of the Jenkins then, right? So okay, so let's see what are the different features of the Jenkins. Okay, so what exactly does the Jenkins do, right? So first one is like what exactly it has, right? So first it can have the lot of plugins actually, right? So Jenkins are highly extensible through the plugins. Okay, so there are more than thousands of the plugins available, right? For the different types of the development, deployment, and automation, we can use the plugins. Okay, so I can list them out. So features, so features of the Jenkins. So first one is the plugin, right? So first one is the plugin. So we have lots of more than thousands of the plugins available, and we'll be seeing how exactly we'll use that plugins. Okay, so I'll be installing the plugins and we'll be using what is required for our thing, right? And then the second one is the pipelines. Okay, so as I have told you, right? So Jenkins pipeline, it basically allows you to define a series of automated steps to be run. So let's say you have one build step, one deployment step, then one automation execution or the test automation test run step, and then deployment to the higher environment, some like to the stage or something, right? So these steps you can link as a pipeline, right? And it will be executed step by step, and at each point, at every point it should pass, right? If any point it fails, then it will stop the further stages, right? We'll look into that also when we have the pipeline. So I'll be creating here three ways pipelines. One is through the plugin. Okay, so let me write that. Through plugin we'll be creating the pipeline, and then there is one more way we can have, that is the scripted pipeline. Okay, so scripted pipeline, and then we'll have the declarative pipeline. Okay, so these ways we are going to create the pipelines. Okay, so when you follow this series, you will be able to see all these three ways of creating the pipelines, and we'll be covering it in a very simple way, right? I don't have you to, if you are I don't want you to learn a lot of the technical stuff here. We'll be using the Groovy scripting for the scripted pipeline, but you don't have to learn a new Groovy scripting. Okay, it's very simple and very basic. I'll show you how exactly you can do it. Okay, so there is a pipeline syntax, we can use that. It's very easy, you can generate the code. Okay, so that's what we'll do in the scripted pipeline. So coming to our core features, we have the plugins, and we have the pipeline, and then we have the distributed builds actually. Okay, so okay, so okay, let me reduce the size. Okay, and the third point is distributed builds. Okay, so what is exactly is this distributed build? Okay, distributed builds. Okay, so what are these distributed builds? Okay, so these are nothing but Jenkins basically supports the distribution of the build, test, and the deployments across the multiple machines to optimize the performance. Like whatever the build is there, you can have the node and slave, and you can distribute that load across the multiple machines basically, right? You don't have to do it everything on the same machine, right? So that is also applicable. So these are basically the core features, three core features of the Jenkins, you can say. One is the plugins. We can extensively you add the different plugins and we can use them. And second one is the pipeline. So as part of this, we'll see the through the plugin how to create the pipeline, how to use the scripted pipeline, how to use the declarative pipeline, and then third one is the distributed builds, right? So these three are core features of the Jenkins. Okay, so how exactly you will do the installation and setup, right? So which platform it supports, right? So now if I have to say platform, okay, so platform, what are the platform it supports? So it supports your Windows platforms. Obviously you can install it on Windows. You can even install it on the Linux. You can install it in the Mac also. Okay, so in all the environment it supports. Okay, so you can go ahead and create your Jenkins server in any of the platforms. Okay, so then setup, right? So how exactly you will do the setup? In you can install it or you have a long-term support. Basically we'll see in the Windows how to configure it. So you can download the jar file and you can use it, right? You can unpack it and you can use it. Okay, so that is the installation and setup. And then we have something called as the fourth point, I'll say. After the platform we can say CI/CD. Let's talk a little more about the CI/CD. Okay, so what exactly is the CI and what exactly is the CD? Okay, let me change the pen here. Okay, so let's take this one up. So let's say CI slash CD. Okay, what are these concepts? Okay, so what is CI and what is CD? So CI is nothing but the continuous integration, guys. Okay, so what is continuous integration, right? So the continuous integration, let's understand the concept first. So let's say there are multiple developers, they develop the code and they check into their GitHub or whatever the source code management tool is there, right? So then what happens, let's say we already have some code in the GitHub and some new developer is developing, or some developer is developing the code and they're pushing it into the GitHub, right? So that time what happens, when a new code is checked into the GitHub, so that time if we have a what you can say here in the Jenkins, we can have some configuration to check when the new code is pushed to the GitHub. Okay, and we can set up that a cron job whenever a new code is checked in, so it will start building the complete build, right? Along with the existing code, it will start building the new code, right? So when both are merged, so it will start building that. So when it start building that, if there are any failures, then it will stop the build, right? So build failure will be reported. So now the developer will come to know, okay, so I pushed in some code, new code that is not compatible with the old code, or maybe some issues happening because of my new check-in. So the continuous integration tells you about that. So the main intention of the continuous integration to ensure that whatever the new code is pushed into the your repository, that is a proper code, right? It is not breaking the existing functionality, or it is not breaking the build basically, right? So that is a continuous integration, right? So so as part of that, we can have the automated builds, right? Jenkins automates the build process, okay, by pulling the code from the source control like Git, and then compiling and then running the unit test on it, right? So basically when a build is run, means what developers do, they try to build the application, they run the automated test, right? So first the code will be compiled and the automated unit test or JUnit test, whatever they have, that will get ran on that, and then the complete build process will be created, a jar or something will be getting created out of it. Okay, so it provides immediate feedback on the status of the build, right? So if anything is failing, so developer will quickly come to know, okay, so okay, my build, whatever the code I checked in, because of that the build is not happening, so it is getting failed, right? So the developer can quickly identify and fix the issue. Okay, so that is a continuous integration. So what exactly is this continuous delivery then? Okay, so continuous integration we covered. What is a continuous delivery? Okay, so continuous delivery is like you push your code or promote your code to the next higher environment. So after continuous integration is done, you run your automation test, right? So developers unit test is already done and the build is stable. Okay, so continuous integration is done there, and then you start your running your automation code. Okay, so maybe you have your API automation code, okay, and you maybe you have your UI automation code. So these codes, okay, so they will be run on that build, whatever build is generated as part of the CI. So on that build, so we'll run this API and UI automation code, and then the entire build will be validated against that. Okay, so and if all the test cases are passed, we'll say okay, so this build is stable. Okay, and then we'll promote it to the next higher environment. Let's say we're promoting it into the stage environment, right? So now the code will be pushed into the stage environment. So that is the continuous delivery, right? And there is one more thing is called as the continuous deployment. Okay, so this is called as the continuous delivery. So, and there is one more thing is called as the continuous deployment. Okay, so what is this continuous deployment? Continuous is a deployment. Okay, so what exactly is this continuous deployment? So in this continuous deployment, what happens? So now the code is delivered, the code is pushed to the stage, right? So now if we want, we can push this to the further upstream to the prod. Okay, so if you want, you can push your changes to the production. Okay, so the continuous deployment, right? So this is up to the stage environment, it is the continuous delivery, right? So there are some software companies, they pushes their code frequently to the production, like the Amazon or the Facebook, right? So they continuously pushes the new build to the production. Okay, so there this continuous deployment comes into the picture, right? So they continuously deploy the new changes into the production, right? But in most of the software company, it is like a scheduled process, right? So there will be a release timeline and everyone has to follow the release timeline, right? So every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, they are all the sprint related work they push to the stage, and then after it is tested in the stage by the real users, they push it into the production, right? But now think about like a company like Amazon, right? So they have lot of inventory, they have lot of new stuff, those are getting upgraded frequently, right? So we don't have a there is no like real-time users who will do come and sit there and do the stage testing, right? Testing in the stage environment, right? So but in case of the most of the software companies, right, so before releasing a product into the production, so there will be the UAT or user acceptance test, which usually done at the stage environment. Stage environment is a production like environment which where the real-time users will work on the real-time data and they will certify okay, so this looks good, and now push this build for the production, right? So basically majority of the company, you will see the continuous delivery, not the continuous deployment to the production, right? So that is the basically the difference between the CI CD, right? So CI is the continuous integration and CD is the continuous delivery and continuous deployment. So most of the company will stick to the continuous delivery to the stage environment. So as part of the continuous delivery on the build that is generated through the CI process, right? So the build like the automation code, like API automation code or the UI automation code is going to run on that build, and then that build is going to, if it is a stable build, right, then that build is going to push into the next environment, that is the stage environment, right? This is how is the continuous build and the deployment happens, right? And then security. Okay, so what else Jenkins provides us? So we will say Jenkins provides us security. So what kind of security it provides, right? So if you see so we have the, let me take a note of here. Jenkins provides us the security. Okay, so okay, so next one is the security. Okay, security. So what exactly is security, right? So we have the different types of the user management, right? We have role based access control, right? So what exactly this user management, right? So Jenkins it provides the user management and the security options, and we can have our integration, it can be integrated to our LDAP account. Okay, and or there are different authentication system, we can use that. Okay, so that is a basically the user management, it can manages the user. And role based access control, so you can define some role to the some users or groups, and they can perform those actions, right? so they won't be getting all the things to be view or read or write access, right? So that role based access also we can enforce here, right? So you can say security will have two things. One is the user management, okay, user management, and second one will be role based access, okay, role based access, okay, cool. And then the next one, okay, so what are the use case, right? So what is the use cases of the Jenkins, right? So basically the Jenkins will be used in the software development, okay, for automating the CI/CD pipeline, majorly CI/CD pipeline, and in QA terms or in the automation testing terms, we will be use it as a scheduler, job scheduler, right? So we'll be looking into that in the detail in the upcoming sessions, okay. So and one more thing, infrastructure as a code, right? Jenkins can be used to automate the infrastructure provisioning and management tools, right? We have the Ansible and Terraform, right? We can automate them also, the Jenkins, right? And monitoring and reporting also we can do, right? So it can be integrated with the various monitoring tool, and it can generate the detailed reports about the build, test and deployment process, okay. So this is a brief introduction about the Jenkins, okay. So in the next session we'll try to see how to install the Jenkins in the Windows, and how to add the suggested plugin, basically the configuration related things we'll install, and we'll try to set up Jenkins in our system, okay. So yeah, that's all for this session, guys. If you guys are really enjoying my sessions, I would request you to subscribe to my channel Q Automation Classes, and stay tuned to Q Automation Classes for the upcoming sessions, right? Please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.